Hey, what is up, you sexy beast? Solomar Tristan here, and I'm bringing you Scary Stories, episode number 4. And I'm gonna get right into this one. This is called The Twist, but I'll probably name it something different in the title that may or may not be comedic, so I'm gonna get right into it. Don't read this because it actually works. Now you've started reading. You can't stop. A girl named Kathy drowned to death. If you email or repost this comment to 3 or more videos tomorrow will be the best day of your life. If you don't repost this comment on at least 3 videos, Kathy will come for you when you're sleeping. This is so scary because it actually worked. Billy examined the message. He hummed and hawed over it, scratching his chin. On any other day, he would have done what the message said. After all, he didn't want to die within 3 days, and he did want to have the best day of his life be tomorrow. But today was different. Today, Billy was 8 years old, far too old to be dabbling with such nonsense. He had tried repeating similar messages in the past, and his only reward had been dozens of people on the internet sending him nasty replies. Hesitantly, Billy placed his mouse over the red X at the top of the email and pressed down. The email closed. As it did, Billy felt shivers down his spine, and Billy was too scared of such nonsense. He got up from his chair, headed to the kitchen to find his mom. His mom was preparing a delicious tuna casserole, Billy's favorite. "Now, Billy," said his mom, taking the steaming casserole out of the oven, "remember, this is for lunch tomorrow. Don't eat before bed or you will have nightmares." His mom left the room. "I'm going to work now. Make sure you be bed in a few minutes, alright?" Billy nodded. Billy's mom left the house, and as he heard her slam the door, Billy was all alone now. It was time for him to go to bed soon, and he did not want to have any frightening thoughts. But the casserole, it looked so good. Surely, thought Billy, a simple taste would have no effect on me. Billy took a step stool and sampled the irresistible tuna casserole. It melted into his mouth and filled Billy with a sense of euphoria. Surely, another taste couldn't hurt, but Billy himself cut him a slice and took it to the room. After messily devouring the meal, Billy fell asleep. Billy woke with a start. He heard a noise in the room. It was creeping, sloshing around like the sound of a boot sinking in a muddy puddle. At first, Billy thought it was his mom coming back from work. After checking the digital clock that glowed bright red in the darkness, he realized that his mom would not be home for a few hours. The sloshing still continued. Billy sat up straight, listening intently to whatever it could be. He crept downstairs and saw muddy footprints leading straight into the hall of the house. He gasped. Billy was frightened. Now, Billy felt like a child, too young to be part of such a frightening world. He considered bolting out the front door, but he calmed himself down. Maybe it was his mother, home early, after all. Billy crept after the footprints. He knew his mother would never trek such a mess through the house, but Billy had to be sure. The footprints came to a dead stop in the kitchen. Billy poked his head through the doorway and turned the lights on. There, sitting on the kitchen table, was a girl about his age, eating a tuna casserole. Her hair was matted, wet and black. Her skin fetid and rubbery, and her eyes glowy as red as his alarm clock upstairs. Billy gasped. Startling backwards and crashing against the wall, sliding to the ground, the girl got up off the table and steadily advanced towards him. "What's wrong with you?" she said. Billy wouldn't listen to the she-witch's horrible taunting. He tore past her and grabbed the nearest weapon in the room, the tuna casserole. Using a burnt piece of the glass container, he smashed it over the girl's head. A steady stream of blood poured from it, and the girl lifelessly collapsed on the ground. The tuna casserole was spread all over the floor, messily decorating it with bits of cheese and fish. Billy took a sigh of relief, and as any moment now the girl would evaporate into a puff of black smoke. However, the girl lay there, lifeless. Billy thought for a moment that he had made a mistake. He kicked the girl a bit, but she continued to lay there lifelessly. Looking outside, he noticed that it was raining. This probably would explain her hair and boots. Billy shook the girl frantically, but there was no response. He started to cry, and as he did, he noticed the girl stirring. Still not sure what to think, he grabbed a piece of glass from the shattered tuna casserole. He grasped it so hard that blood formed at the edge of his hand. The girl rose up, and as one of her hands shot towards him, She choked the life out of him. She reached down and began eating the tuna casserole. Billy awoke with a start. His chest puffed in and out as he steadied his thoughts. Looking around, he perceived that the previous events had all been a horrible dream. That crazy demon girl ghost had left. He sighed in relief, but something wet was on his hand. Looking at his hand, he saw the glass had taken from the tuna casserole and the blood that had formed as it pierced his skin because he was holding it too hard. Billy awoke with a start. Before doing anything else, he looked at his hands. Completely clean, he thought. Absolutely no blood, no signs of conflict. Everything was right in the world. It was still dark out, but his mother would be home soon. He looked around, and then he let himself relax. Thank God I'm done with this nightmares. These nightmares, he said. Don't thank him yet, said a voice coming from the doorway. He looked up and saw a girl again, this time holding a butcher's knife. Billy awoke with a start. Not sure again if he was being... Billy awoke with a start, not ready to be fooled again by his dream. He first checked his hands, clean, free of blood. He looked at the doorway, vacant, not a soul in sight. He held his breath and listened for muddy footsteps. Not a single one was heard. Terrified, Billy crept out of his bed and decided to wait on the couch for his mother to get home. He grasped the metal banister and began to descend slowly downstairs. As he did, he looked up, desperate for signs of foul play. When none were spotted, he made his way to the couch and waited for his mom to come home. After a few minutes of tense, nerve-wracking waiting, the door swung open, and his mom, back from the night shift, greeted him with a smile. "What are you doing up so late?" His eyes filled with tears. "I've been having these horrible nightmares, and I accidentally had some of the casserole and Billy's mom shook her head. "Billy, you haven't been having nightmares. You are the nightmares." Billy's mom head exploded into writhing snakes with matted wet hair and a venomous bite. Her arms twisted into laughing clown heads while the rest of her body oozed red pus. Billy awoke with a start. For a few hours he was too afraid to do anything but silently sobbed to himself in bed. He didn't care anymore. He just wanted the nightmare to be over. Billy knew that this was the nightmare. Sure, there were no signs to prove it, but there would be soon. Indubitably, there would be soon. Billy ran downstairs just as he hit the front door. It opened. "Billy," said his mother, "what are you doing racing around the house at this time of night?" He ran past his mother, knowing that soon she would become a nightmare. Billy only had one destination, the lure that had hidden deep downstairs in a safe. Billy knew that if he could get his hands on that gun, he could blow his brains out and the dream would be over. His mom chased after him, screaming things that his mother would scream, like, "Get back here, Billy. You should be in bed by now. You ate the casserole, didn't you? And where are you going?" Billy made her no mind and headed into the basement. He spotted the safe. Billy's mom couldn't keep up with him and now was only walking after him. It would give him enough time to do what he needed to do. He knew the combination to the safe, although his mom didn't know that he did. The Luger was his father's and he had planned to put it to use. He inputted the combination and took out the gun right as his mother burst through the basement door. "Billy," she cried through the tears welling up in her eyes, "put that gun down in an instant. Now, now!" Billy wouldn't fall for her tricks. He placed the gun to his temple and closed his eyes. "Billy!" yelled his mother frantically. "No, no!" Billy pulled the trigger. The bullet went clean through his brain and his lifeless body fell through the floor. Billy's mom collapsed to her knees and cried, reflecting on the royally idiotic idea keeping the Luger downstairs and assuming Billy didn't know what it was. After hours of crying, she phoned the police. The police showed up, asked her questions, and took her into custody. His body was found swept up and would be put in the newspaper. From all over the world would wonder what brought this boy to such a tragic end. Ah, who are we kidding? Billy woke with a start, rubbed his temple inside. That is it. No more goddamn tuna casserole before bed. I hope you guys did enjoy the story with kind of a hysterical ending. This is very highly rated on Creepypasta, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day, and remember the fact that I love you.